PART program, which is our summer holiday adult respite partnership. And that's Interchange in conjunction with a few other organisations in the area, so Each and Scope. No, so just Each and Scope. And we all put out a joint booklet for anybody who's the interchange people. It's between the 18 and 24. And it's camps and activities as well over the summer holidays, over January.
But you can apply for other agencies you won't necessarily access.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so the idea is sort of we're sharing resources a little bit and opening up. Yeah, so we have a lot of families at Interchange who have been with us since they were little and have never really thought to look outside of Interchange, whereas we actually suggest it and encourage it because there's just such a wide variety out there. So that people aren't getting...
And especially if you've got such a long waiting list, it frees up the service for other people if they can actually access other services.
Absolutely. So the adult services waiting list isn't that big at all. It depends on coordination.
It'll be after this show.
But yeah, so it does. It's not nowhere near as big as children's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's primarily because we put the age cut-off in, which meant that we could move some of the older participants into a different model and a different frame, which meant that we had more room for intake.
Okay.
So a couple of years back, there was a big waiting list in adults as well. But we've managed to work around that a little bit.
So what happens then when Bet's got 2 years left of school? When she finishes school, what is it that you could offer for
Absolutely.
her?
So we have our group-based sites, and we have 2 in Lilydale, 1 in Bayswater and 2 in Ferntree Valley. One of the Ferntree Valley ones being Enterprises, which we've already spoken about. And the community one, the one in Ferntree Valley and the one in Lilydale, one of the ones in Lilydale, are futures-based. So that's where your futures, your 18 to 21-year-old guys, participants will come and access. We've just put it into a really nice, we call it the values. It's a values frame, I guess you could call it, which includes volunteering and work ed, arts and theatre based type things. I'm going to be really snotty now and look at it if that's okay.
Don't want you to
that, sorry. It's new, so I haven't quite got that in my head yet. Living well, so it's encompassing your health and your fitness side of things. So these are the types of things that we will incorporate in your day-to-day activities. Some things that are unusual as well, so we like to throw in things that people wouldn't necessarily do on a normal day at home or do at school. So that might be like being audience members of television tapings. We're going to exhibitions, festivals, things like that, just to broaden their experience, I guess. Education and life skills, so we do quite a few Cert 1 and Cert 2 courses through registered training organisations in the area.
If they've already done Cert 1 or Cert 2 at school, does that mean they don't qualify for that?
No, not necessarily. Again, it depends on the group, because it is group based and we do primarily do things with 5 to 6 people per group, depending on their, that is variable depending on the activity. We don't have the funding for one-to-one, so therefore, if the rest of the groups that are Cert 1 or a Cert 2 level, we probably couldn't provide the Cert 3
fair enough.
for that individual.
I'm not really.
However, there'd be other ways of going around it, whether it be through volunteers or whether it be through purchasing a day or purchasing a staff member to go with you. Or to go instead. And that's done through individualising some of your funds, which I won't go into right now because that is very confusing. But there are ways around it. We can look at it and play a little bit.
Okay, good.
So that's our sites. And then I guess one of the questions we get asked is, well, what happens when they turn 24 or 21? Are you going to kick us off? No, we do have a couple of sites that are specifically for the older guys, I guess, who have gone through the Futures program already and have a better idea of what it is they're after, what their interests are, and then can go down those paths a bit.
So I think one of the things I find is that, especially with autism, your stereotypical person with autism used to be a lot more functioning.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there were things like the sheltered workshops that they called them and things like that. But for kids like ours, they're too high functioning for meaningful things that aren't actually interesting, but they're also too low functioning to do normal work.
That's interesting you say that, because we've identified that gap, and there's many children that are reluctant sometimes to access services here because they don't quite fit into the disability model, they don't quite fit into mainstream.
Yeah.
So we're looking at starting a autism spectrum group for higher functioning
That sounds good.
children. Yeah, because they don't quite fit into either model. So yeah.
I think as a parent, it's really nice to know that the framework is values-based.
Yeah.
It's not just like how it used to be in the old days. It's based on quality and friendships and learning. You know, it's not just keeping them busy during the day with the TV on.
Yeah, definitely.
So one of our biggest, not biggest, I guess one of our more newer frame or models that we've been using that's working really well is our intensive learning options. And it's pretty much where there'll be a group of people who are interested in the same thing or require the same sort of support needs or have the same goals, and get together and you have the same staff member who, and it's over 3 or 4 days, do something around that topic. So for example, we have a house or independence in the home intensive, which we just call house because it's much easier, house intensive. And that's where we have a group of guys who go and stay overnight in a house in the community, and they learn independent living skills on site. So they do their own cooking, they do their own shopping lists, they do their own bed making, cleaning, all of that sort of thing within an actual house instead of trying to fit it into your 9 to 3. Supervised, of course, with a staff member. And so it's overnight, so it's a more realistic model rather than trying to fit it into your standard 9 to 3 time.
Yeah, that sounds really
That's
good.
great.
Yeah. And that's for the 18 to 21-year-old.
That's for, we're just opening it up to anybody. Depending on, the costing will be different depending on your age.
Okay, that sounds really good.
And so an extension of that, or it started off as an extension of that, is our farm intensive, where the guys who, I think most of them initially did the house intensive but wanted to do something a bit more, they go and stay on a farm in Lurg for 4 nights of their week. So within a month, 1 week of that is spent on the farm doing farm work with a farmer. And he makes them work.
But she likes animals.
Do they get to shish
Actually, don't know. To suss that out. So it's with the farm, but it's also with a staff member who is really qualified and able to support the participants as well. So it's not that they're just being shipped off and off you go. And then, and then the other 3 weeks in a month are doing preparation. But 1 day is doing preparation around that, so making their shopping list and their budgeting and that sort of thing, so that they're ready for the farm, ready for their farm stay. And the other couple of days are spent volunteering. So they've just finished a project at Bayswater Primary School where they built their garden beds and they built a footpath and did that sort of thing.
So the horticulture thing fits quite well with that.
It does, yeah.
And is that would you say that that's over a year, or is that just as the interest? Is there a time?
At the moment, I think it's a year. We try to keep that consistency in for a year, but of course, particularly around the house, if you find that somebody they've reached all their goals and it's just not fulfilling them to be there, and it's become more of a respite rather than a goal-based program, then we look at changing things, because there's generally always people waiting to go on to those
And that's
programs.
usually then when they finish the equivalent of Year 12, or when they finish Year 12, then they would come here and start those programs.
Yeah. So the intensives we generally try not to do in the first year because it's a bit overwhelming for families, transition-wise, to go from a school model into this, which is quite different. So that first year is more about getting to see what else is out there. It's looking at different options, looking at different things, so that the guys themselves or the people themselves can get an idea of what their interests are.
Yeah.
I know when I was in year 12, it's like, well, I'll go off to uni now, but I actually have no idea what I'm interested in.
Absolutely,
This
yeah.
is just what I was told I had to do.
Don't grow up.
Yeah.
I don't go to uni, but
Yeah. So we try and, I guess, provide a lot of different experiences in that first year, just so everybody gets an idea of what they're interested in.
And if you're not part of Interchange, is to get into that program, would it be like, say, the year before they finish school that they would come here and say, well, we're interested in doing this next year, or would you put your name down as soon as?
So the school usually we go out to schools and present what all services in the area do it, go out to schools and present what
Do
they
the
have
schools
to
have to
offer.
be in this area? Because Beth's school is out of the area.
We probably won't have a relationship with the schools
No.
in your area.
Yeah.
We focus on our local
Yeah.
schools. Yeah. I would have to check into it as to whether we could go out further.
Because she's in
there
the
is an
area,
interest.
but the school's not.
That's right.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of children that access
Yeah.
it. So,
Okay, yeah.
Because that's something for me to take back. We haven't really addressed. We do focus on our local schools.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And then it's through that process, the transition process, which is done with DHS planners, that you put in your application and put in your preferences to what
And
what
that's
services you're interested in.
assisted to do that? Like someone's there to guide the
Yep,
parents?
so both DHS and the school themselves have coordinators who are supposed to be there to support you through it. And it's also phone calls to whatever service that you're interested in.
Yeah.
We'll also be on the other end of the phone to help you. Yeah.
So who can Sarah use now?
So it's
I don't really.
No, but if you wanted to.
I'm registered with Interchange.
Oh, okay.
But we haven't.
So did you do that?
Because we haven't felt the need to.
You went directly?
I think we did go directly
Okay.
originally,
Yeah.
many years ago. And I think we did use Interchange when Beth was much younger, when the kids were really little, because I've got two younger than Beth.
Yeah.
But, they're 13 and 11 now, and they're fairly doing their own thing.
Independent.
And I sort of think, I don't feel like...
But how much
It's
fun
that
would a camp
difficult.
be? Would they go on the camp?
No. They've got their own friends, they go for sleepovers and everything, so they haven't felt the need to. And we found, as I said, with our primary school having quite a lot of special needs kids, our kids have gravitated towards those kids anyway. So they've got lots of friends that have got siblings that have also got autism.
Okay.
Because I run an autism support group as well,
Oh.
so we've got lots of friends through that. So we've sort of managed
Made your
that
own
ourselves.
network.
Yeah. So, and I've always felt, and I know that you don't expect parents to feel like this, and I've said this to you, that especially with things with like the host family, I've always felt that there are people more needy than me. So I've sort of thought, well, I don't feel the need to have time apart,
Yeah.
and I
It's all
don't feel
individual.
like my other kids are missing out on anything.
Yeah.
But then I'm in I'm married, so there are obviously lots of single parents that don't
That's right.
get that break.
Don't get a break.
in.
Yeah,
so I just
absolutely.
think, there's people more needy than us. So. Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get away from that because I don't know if my needs are different to other people's needs because I still have a child with autism. I still don't have
Absolutely,
that connection. So I need time away from him, but I want him to be having a fun time when he's away from me. I don't want to have. I feel more guilt not accessing the services for Daniel
Yeah.
than I do accessing them
And
because I know it's for his sport.
Beth
Yeah.
has done one day program and she did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Whereas
And
Daniel loves being away
So I
from
thought,
me.
well, like if you're in any
Yeah.
situation with kids, just because you're the same age doesn't mean, like he can't just go, here.
Yeah. Oh, that's
If they
right.
don't like it, they don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was.
Yeah.
So I just thought, all right, that's fair enough. And because she is aware that she has autism, it was almost like, are you putting me with all these kids because they've all got it as well? And, not that it's an insult to do that, but at the same time you just sort of think, well, what's their perception of why I'm doing this? The other kids don't do this.
Yeah.
So,
We actually have so part of our purchased options, and these are people who have come to us with funding, but who don't identify themselves as having disabilities. So we've actually put them together. There's 3 of them who don't identify as having disabilities, so they now go out together on a weekly Friday because in their minds they're just mates,
Well,
which is what they are.
That's
So it's not in their
perfect.
minds that they are just friends now.
Yeah.
Which works really well because the group base didn't work for that very reason.
Yeah.
They look around and go, well, I'm not this, so
Exactly.
I don't fit into this group.
Even though they clearly are.
Yeah. According to our eligibility, they are, but not
That's
necessarily.
really cool.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
good, because that's what I think we need, because when we talk about friendships, it's always the kids that were at the mainstream school that are still considered, that's who I want to be with, not these kids that went through.
Yeah.
And it's a hard one.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, well, that sounds good. We might wrap it up
That
for
was
today. That was
fantastic.
really
Thank
good.
you so
Thank
much.
you so much
No
for having
worries.
us here.
You
We didn't even touch on the family support,
No.
other family support. So we do
That's
family
right.
camps as well, so
Okay.
that's for the whole family to come. So that's
Oh,
all
okay.
ages, from children through to adults. So,
Yeah. Oh.
So once you're eligible,
Is that in an actual tent, or could it be more glamping?
No, we do tent. We're doing tents this year,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's glamping tents. But
Look on
no, it's
Oh,
more
it's a
cabin
toilet,
based.
it's a cabin.
Yes,
Okay.
it's cabins.
Yeah.
So
And Wi-Fi.
So our lingo, when we say camps, it's not necessarily tents. So
Yes.
same with the guy,
yes, with all the
kids
programs,
and all of them,
Yeah,
we
it's
call them
not-
camps,
yeah.
but they're holidays.
Oh, look,
but it's camp resorts.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
camped once with 2 dogs.
Oh,
Just once you've done it, you just don't need to do it again.
I just don't have. Never. And I never will.
Yeah, no, it's not something you have to do to get on in life. Yeah.
So sort of say also for families that aren't registered that want to access something in the meantime, we run a Activate program, which is a sport-based, well, not all necessarily, but we do run Sport for Fun program in the Shire, in Knox, so I can't remember it's Action Sport Knox, and one in Millgrove as well, weekly, and it is open to anyone to attend. So the person that runs it is able to support children with disabilities, so it's open to everybody. It's not just for disabilities, it's for all children.
Terrific.
So that you can also find that on our website.
Oh, great.
So,
Okay.
and there's also a youth group that runs out of Millgrove as well on a Friday, and that's open to anyone as well. So we do have a really big mix of kids with disabilities and children that don't. So yeah, it's working really well. So that's something you can access in the meantime as something.
And that's there's an age limit for that, or
The
that's all the
youth
ages?
group is 12 to 18, and then the Sport for Fun is whatever.
Okay.
Yep,
That
all
sounds
ages accessing Sport for Fun.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
We'll get some links to that.
Yes.
it's actually one of them is actually run by a parent who has a child with autism. So she that is her thing. She knows how to support groups and kids to be active. So
Oh, good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Sounds great.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.